I have aunts like that. When something goes wrong, they get excited. They get they're like happy. They love to tell a tragic story. I have an aunt that her face fills with life at the dinner table when she goes, hey, you know Jessica? Jessica, you know her brother? Her brother jumped off the bridge. You know the bridge that everybody jumps off? Yeah, he jumped off paralyzed. So maybe don't do that. Don't do that anymore. And she's happy as a pig in shit when she's able to talk about tragedy. She loves it. She'll be like, you know, kid I knew took a little Xanax, drank, fell down the stairs, dead. It's a kid. He lived 3 doors over. Now he's dead. Took a Xanax, had a couple of beers at a party, fell down the stairs. I'm like, I don't even take Xanax and I'm sober. Why are we doing this? Why are we going over this? We're going to start just going tragedy by tragedy? She used to be like, there were little mini rocks in the school where I grew up. So she'd go, you know, one kid is going to eat those rocks one day and die. And she just loved it. She was into it. She loves, she gets into it. It's okay. I get it to an extent because I love, and I talked about this with a friend the other day. I happen to love, and I don't really admit this often or talk about this because people might take it the wrong way, and it's not my fault. I happen to really enjoy funerals. I love funerals. I love the wake. I love the burial. I love the drive to the funeral. Everything about a funeral. I love seeing people you haven't seen in a while, but in a space where you don't have to keep up. Mm-hmm. It's weird to exchange numbers. Nobody's serious. Nobody's going to follow up with each other in a week and go, hey, we saw each other at the funeral. You'd be insane if you did that. You'd be like, what? So if you even reconnect at a funeral, it's so brief. It's so surface. It's so shallow. It's so nice. It's so nice. Hey, have you been? And it's good. I like to cry. I like to be sad and think about my own mortality and feel bad for other people. I like to look at other people that have lost a loved one and feel bad for them. And sometimes it's nice when it's an older person and we could all say it's a life well lived. But sometimes it's nice when it's someone younger. Sometimes it's nice when it's somebody it was unexpected or someone, and we all have to really reflect on what it means, because the older people, you don't have to reflect on what it means as much. You get it. They lived a good life, but sometimes it's got to be dark and real tragic, and they've got to be young. It's got to be young to really get the cry on and get the purge. You got to purge. You got to question, what is life? Why are we here? Am I on the right track? These are very important things. LA, they have silent retreats and yoga. In the Northeast, we had funerals. People would just die, and you would go. I'd love a meal. Have you ever had a funeral meal where you go out afterwards and everybody's eating and you're relaxing? It's kind of fun again. It's kind of nice again. Yes, we buried someone and they're not here, but that means more shrimp cocktail for us. We're here. We're alive. No disrespect. Carl Ruiz, a great man, would love this attitude. Passed away at 44. I feel very bad. Man, was he fucking funnier than comedians, and I know that doesn't say much, but God, was he fucking funny. Guy Fieri loved him. He was a chef. He opened a great restaurant in New York called La Cubana. The guy he texted me a photo on Twitter that made me laugh harder than anything else. I'm going to show it to Ben right now. Dude, and familiarize yourself with the great Carl Ruiz if you haven't, because I'm telling you right now, this guy, everybody loved him. Sherrod Small, Opie and Anthony, Vic Henley, all these comics really loved Carl Ruiz. And he was a partier, man. He would break Bill Burr up, crack Bill Burr up, telling stories about doing coke in the kitchen when he was coming up as a chef. And he had like a spot in Jersey, and then he just opened a spot in the meatpacking district. And he sent me a message, and it's one of the funniest things that anyone has ever sent me. Okay? And he goes, this is what follows you when you are a food celebrity: human garbage pelicans. And it's just a picture of these two fat women with birthday hats on and a filter that gave them birthday hats. These two fat women with birthday hats. And he goes, this is who follows you when you're a food celebrity. Human garbage pelicans. It is one of the funniest things I laugh so fucking. And I messaged the guy and I said, I got to see you when I'm in New York. And he goes, come to the restaurant. Let's eat. I wanted him on the podcast. There's a video that Opie just posted on Twitter where they walk into his apartment or a hotel. I don't know. It's beautiful. It's like in the middle of Manhattan or whatever. And he's just got cash, wads of cash laying on the table. And everybody starts going, what the hell's going on in here? And Ruiz just looks at me and goes, I'm a walking felony. The guy lived. And now listen, I wish he was still here. I wish he lived fucking forever. That guy was great. But it's like my friend's father passed away, who we loved. This guy was great. We used to get hammered all the time. Enough! She's still going. We used to get hammered. I mean, what is happening? We used to drink all the time and have fun, go out to dinner with this guy. And he passed away in his early 60s. And the funeral was so sad because he was dead, but there was something about a funeral, and there are people out there that know what I mean. They know what I mean right now. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at each other going, fuck, he's right, and it's been a while since we've been to one. And it would be nice, a nice autumn day. Oh, a nice autumn day. Some nice hymnals. And I will raise you up on eagle's wings. Raise you up above all things. I don't know the rest. But that, in a nice church, you go out in your black suit, maybe a bum of smoke. Maybe you don't. I don't know. It's all what you have to do. And maybe it's at a sit-down restaurant, or maybe afterwards you do something at a bar and you just some wings and a couple of cocktails. My friend Michael's mother, let me tell you right now, I don't want anyone to die, but the meatballs I had after dinner, I would kill her myself. I would they were so good, soft. That's what meatballs should be. And listen, she fought cancer a very long time. The woman had more. She was more of a fighter and she was tougher and she got more out of life than I will ever get. And any of my clown friends will ever get out of life, by the way, because she helped other people and she had this camaraderie with other people that were fighting this thing. And she raised money for people. And it was really amazing to look at somebody whose life was cut short, but not in fucking substance at all. She went through hell, but when you talk about somebody who's a warrior, a champion, what's good about what I do is I spend time with people who lead meaningless lives, utterly meaningless lives, devoid of honor, devoid of anything. People that just float around and, but the food at this place, and I'm talking about quesadillas. They had Italian. They had wings. It was like a bar restaurant. And I was sitting down with a bunch of people I'd never met. I didn't know them. And I felt I was having one of the best times I've ever had. So I will throw this out. I don't want this to seem weird. If you want me to go to a funeral of someone I will go. As long as as long as it doesn't feel weird. I like to hear about somebody's life. People say to me when I go to funerals, they go, did you know this person well? And I'm like, I don't need to know somebody well to go and take stock of a life. I think it's a beautiful thing and I enjoy it. And I know there are people out here that say this is a sociopath talking or I'm insane. Every episode, there's probably that reaction, but that's not the case here. This is a beautiful thing when someone is ripped from us. Not when it's a young person, unless they're very young. If they're very, very young, it's fine because you don't know. You know what I mean? If they're very young, it's fine again. Very, very young. But if it's in the middle of their life, 20s or 30s, it's real rough. And once 60 and above again, it's fine. So what I'm trying to say, and I've dug a little bit of a hole here probably with certain people, but people need to admit, and my grandmother had a great funeral. She was like 89, And the priest went up and he goes, Dorothy. And Ray Kump, the great Ray Kump, was sitting there and he was like, rah, rah, rah. Most people, the mortician thought the funeral was for him. They said, well, he looks fine. Well, not fine, but he looks better than most of the corpses. He's smoking, for instance. But my grandmother, the priest, went up and he did this hellfire and brimstone speech. Goes, Dorothy has been preparing for this moment for decades. Decades. And we were all shifting in our seats because we were like, fuck. Whoa. Basically, he was laying it on the line. Priests and funerals, that's their time. That's their time. My grandfather's funeral, beautiful. Bagpipes. Bagpipes. An Irish funeral, everybody bombed. These are beautiful things. Much better than weddings. Weddings suck. Mm-hmm. What's the other thing when the kid's born? Baptisms and christenings. Fuck off. I love a good funeral because you really appreciate life. You appreciate being alive. When you drive out of a wake and you're sitting there, or you drive out of a burial, maybe it was Holyrood Cemetery in Hicksville, and you're sitting there at the stoplight, and a song comes on, and it's a decent song, and the sun's out, and you drive in. Maybe you stop in a 7-Eleven, you get a Snapple, and you just say to yourself, I'm fucking here. I would go to one a month if I could. So that I just want to throw that out to people. If you want me at your funeral, and I do the whole thing, by the way. I do wake, burial, and then whatever dinner is lunch or dinner that we're doing. I do the whole thing. I do the wake, and then I come back the next day for the burial. And if you tell me that the burial is only for the family, I'd come. Because I want to be there. I want to see it go into the ground. That's when it's poetic and meaningful to me. And listen, it is what it is. I don't like death. I like funerals. They're beautiful things. Long Island, people have a couple of cocktails, they reconnect. It's really, and there's a lot of lucky people right now because so many people are dropping dead on Long Island from heroin addiction. And there are so many lucky people that get to go to these events all the time and really kind of reconnect. I'll see you at the funeral. That's what they say.
If you need, go get a potato and put a Marlboro Light in its mouth and watch that and then press play on your phone.